What's going on, you guys? This is Trent here at Rexburg Motorsports, here to do another machine overview with you. Now, today we're going to talk about the most anticipated bike for the 2022 model run. We're going to talk about the Honda CRF250R. This bike brings the goods. Honda has done a great job with this full redesign, and I'll tell you, I cannot wait to see what one of these feels like on the track. But today we're going to go over what Honda did to this, what changes were made, and what you're going to see when you do get a chance to swing a leg over one of these bikes. Let's jump into this thing. It's going to be a fun one. As you look over the 2022 250 motocross models, you're going to see that there weren't a ton of changes going on throughout the class. Kawasaki got bold new graphics, Suzuki didn't change anything, Husqvarna and KTM had bold new graphics, Yamaha changed up a wheel in their graphics, but Honda did a full redesign. Every single piece of the motor was redesigned and massaged. Every piece on the chassis is totally new and brought over from the CRF450. And man, this is again one of the most exciting bikes out for 2022. We're going to talk a little bit about the motor, the chassis, the changes that they made on this thing to make sure that you know exactly what you're looking at with this all-new model from Honda. So let's start with this motor. This motor for 2022, every single piece was redesigned. They did everything with two goals in their mind. They wanted to increase low to mid horsepower, and they wanted to increase durability. Their crank shaft, their crank arm, their piston was redesigned. Their cylinder head was completely redesigned, new hotter cams. They had to redesign their head to go with this new single-sided exhaust, which is a big thing. This is exciting from Honda, going away from the twin exhaust that they had in the earlier CRF250 models. Every single first ride review that you're going to jump on is going to tell you how the mid-range response is so much better than the 2021. They've done a lot of things to pump up the power. They said they got a 20% increase at 6,500 RPMs, which is going to be right there down low. And then throughout the mid-range, you're going to see tons more power. This is going to be huge on the track for nearly every rider because of that instantaneous throttle response that you're going to start seeing from this thing, and that added response that you're going to need when you're trying to get out of those tight ruts or as you're trying to accelerate out of a tight corner coming up to a jump face. This is going to give you that extra grunt, and a lot of people were actually saying this felt quite similar in the mid-range to the Yamaha, which is something that Honda hasn't been able to say for the last 4 years. So this is going to be an awesome, awesome bike, awesome upgrade. Now, as you do look over this, a lot of the things they did also were with durability in mind. They strengthened the cam towers that hold those camshafts so that you're not going to have as much flex. But then they also made it so that those camshafts are giving 80% more oil than in the last twin cam motor. That's insane. They really did a good job to make sure that the entire motor was going to be happy in those high RPMs that you have to ride a 250F in. And this thing is going to be ready to scream and last a long, long time doing that. So as you look at this total motor, man, what a good change. They're looking for more low to mid, looking to keep that top end power that Honda was known for in the last 4 years, and they're looking to make sure that this thing stays more reliable. So camshafts, piston, crankshaft, crank arm, every single thing in this motor was redesigned, rechanged to make sure that this thing was ready for the 2022 season to come out swinging. Now with the clutch, they kept with the cable clutch, but they did throw in another plate. This is a 9-plate clutch setup, and so this is going to give you added durability and added grabbing power to make sure that all this extra power is making it to the ground in this bike. So this is going to be something that is awesome as well. This is going to be a huge thing. And I will tell you, just sitting on the showroom floor, you will notice how light this pole is. This pole is still very, very light. And a cable clutch does give you a great feel over a hydraulic clutch. Hydraulic clutches are awesome because they, self-adjust and because they've always got that light pole. But man, there's something to be said about the feel and the engagement point of a cable clutch that I love. And that's one thing that I'm actually very, very excited that Honda kept on this new 250. Now, as you look over the chassis of this new 2022 Honda, you're going to see that they brought a lot of stuff over from the CRF250R from 2021. It got the new generation frame, which the big thing that they were focusing on with that was less rigidity. The older Honda chassis had a reputation for being a little harsh. It was very, very rigid, which made it cut corners really, really well, but it gave it a harsh feeling over bumps that gave the bike a little bit of an unstable feel, especially at speeds. So this new frame, the big thing that they were striving for was less rigidity and more flex when it came to up and down movements in the chassis. So this is going to give you a more compliant feel, and it's going to really help this bike gain some of that stability that it was lacking, gain some of that track toughness to make it feel comfortable everywhere that everybody's looking for when they're looking at a motocross bike. Now, with that Honda 450, 2021, it didn't get great reviews for two reasons. All the magazines loved the new frame, they loved the way the motor felt, they loved everything about the bike except for two misses on Honda, which was suspension settings and mapping. On that 450, they said they've changed that for 2022, but they threw a lot more time and development into this first year 250 on this frame to make sure that they don't have the same mistakes happen on this bike. So far, all of the magazines have been raving about the way this thing has been feeling, so Honda must have done it right. Now, we do have to look over a couple cool points on this new 250 that I thoroughly enjoy as you look over the design ideas of this bike. The first thing that I want to talk about is this new low boy shock positioning. They brought the shock way down in comparison with their last chassis to allow the intake of this bike to go right over the top of the shock and give you a nice straight intake track. This is going to give you more of that downdraft intake track, kind of like what you see in the backwards designed Yamaha bikes. So this is going to give you that straight track, and as you look over the track, I'll pop up a picture here, but as you look over this track, you see how straight it is from the top of the intake track all the way down into the combustion chamber. No weird bends, no weird curves that the air needs to make, giving you more power, and that's something that this chassis design is awesome at. Now you've got an all-new airbox, which is going to give you more surface area for that air filter, but then also more air on both the clean air side and the dirty air side to make sure that this thing is always getting enough air, and that's something that comes down to this chassis design. Now, they also did everything that they could to move what weight they did have downwards. You'll see the new battery box is just right here, and instead of sitting under the seat right up here, you've got it all the way down here, which is going to make a difference, even though these lithium-ion batteries are so very light. With this chassis, you've also got the 49mm forks from Showa, and then you've got that Showa piggyback reservoir shock in the back. This suspension, Honda on their 250 has always done a great job on their setup. It's been known as some of the best stuff on the track in the 250 class, and for 2022, they did not want to mess that up, and so they did a lot of time and R&D effort into making sure this suspension was set and ready to go. A big change they also made was when it came to tire suppliers. This is the first motocross bike in the last little while that's come standard with Pirelli tires instead of the Dunlops. This has got the Pirelli mid to soft Scorpion setup. It's the MX32 setup, and this tire not only is lighter than the Dunlops, but it's said to really complement the way this chassis feels. Speaking of the weight savings of the tire, overall, this bike is said to have lost 8 pounds over the last model. That's huge. That's going to come from those tires, which is going to be roughly 2 pounds from the tires, which is amazing when you think of unsprung weight. You've got some weight savings from this new chassis. And then going away from that dual exhaust also had to save you roughly about the 4 pounds when you think about taking out this entire left side exhaust. So this is going to be a chassis that's going to feel lighter, it's going to feel less rigid, and it's going to be extra flickable because that's what Honda's always known for. Not to mention the fact that now the new TI tank is more visible than last year. You know, last year's titanium tank was awesome, but it was mostly covered with plastics outside of 2 little windows on each side. This now has the whole top covered up, so you're showing off that awesome titanium tank. And one thing that I will tell you, the first time I had a chance to throw my leg over this bike on our showroom floor, the first thing you notice is how skinny this thing is. This thing is super, super thin, which is going to make it easier to move around on the bike as you're throwing it into corners, as you're throwing it over jumps. This thing is going to be awesome. One thing I will say about this new bike, if you want to see this bike in action, there has not been a better video than I've seen than from AJ Cantanzaro's video. I'm going to throw a link in the description below, but he's got a video that asks the question, am I faster than Jet Lawrence when all the bikes are stock? It was one of the coolest videos, in my opinion, to see how capable the stock bikes are. These guys were throwing down to try to beat each other in these lap time competitions, and they threw lap times from about 7 guys. It's a very cool video. AJ did a great job on this thing, so check that out in the description below as well. There is nothing like a new bike that captures the imagination to make C-class riders think they're going to get their break and go pro, and every single skill level just go up. And when you think about riding a new bike, you think about holding the throttle on longer, you think about throwing those whips and scrubs bigger, and you think about railing those ruts harder than you ever have. New bikes are so exciting. Honda has done a great job on this 2022 CRF250R, and we would love to get you one coming for you here at Rexburg Motorsports. Go ahead and give us a call. We'd love to answer any more questions that you do have about this machine. And let us know what you think about this exciting new bike in the comments below. If you liked this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. We'd love to know that we're putting out content that you guys enjoy. And also, if you do have any other questions, again, the comments section below, we're looking forward to seeing those comments. Thanks for watching this video. And if you would, consider hitting that subscribe button. We'd love to keep you up to date on all the things that we've got coming out here at Rexburg Motorsports. But again, thanks for watching and have a great day.